Polar Express video game has pretty miserable ratings, which is somewhat surprising because it's another THQ 2000s movie tie-in game, and THQ's Pixar games are generally pretty damn good. That said, I imagine it would be much more straightforward to make a fun game out of beloved, colorful movies like Cars or Up, compared to a bizarre motion capture CGI Christmas movie with mixed reviews. I didn't want to ruin my Christmas spirit during Christmas time, so here I am in August playing through the Polar Express on the PS2.
This is the Polar Express!
I think it's odd how people have gnomes in the garden. And then you see this.
Right off the bat, instead of having its own cutscenes, the game just shows bits of the movie in terrible quality to convey the story. I was initially disappointed by this lazy solution to telling the plot, but when it cut briefly to its own in-game rendered cutscene, I discovered it's probably for the best, because this is quite unpleasant. Scrooge's puppets have stolen all of the kids' tickets, so now we have to go through the train to find them. We reach a dark train cart with a boy whose ticket's been stolen by one of the jack-in-a-boxes. So now we must face our fears and approach them each one by one to reclaim the ticket. This whole section is built around the mechanic that we can't see without the flashlight, so we need this boy to hold it for us when we wind up the jack-in-a-box. I don't know why they didn't just make the room dark enough so this makes sense, because we can quite clearly see everything with no problems.
What's the point?
For the next chunk of the game, we spend a lot of time fighting various forms of evil puppets. Some of these include kicking them in the face with a soccer ball with clunky controls. Others include spamming square to let the game's overpowered auto-aim do all the work for you. One of these puppets isn't so evil, he's just a guy so desperate for a game of tennis that he won't let us through unless we beat him. This part is so close to being fun, but for some reason we have zero control over where the ball goes when we hit it. We can't aim our shot anyway. It doesn't matter where on the racket we make contact. The game just decides where the ball goes. We sneak through a kitchen, fight some more puppets. There's a room with a bunch of wind-up mice we gotta catch.
But those mice were only wind-up toys. You shouldn't be scared of toys.
Yeah, you stupid. How couldn't you tell these were wind-up toys? You dumb. The next room feels like it was designed for torture. Slippery ice physics floors with ice cubes floating around that we have to break, splitting into more ice blocks, all of which cause damage and disrupt us if we make contact. Combine this with the already not excellent controls, throw in the game's inaccurate hitboxes, and it is a truly infuriating piece of gameplay.
Somehow, through sheer tyranny of will,
I get through this, and now we're on the roof to reach the front of the train. This is the type of gameplay that would be fun if the character controlled in a fun, zippy, jumpy way like a Crash Bandicoot type of guy, but that's not what we've got here. Instead, we've got this slow, unathletic boy. So it's just very, very boring. After what feels like an eternity, we encounter this guy, who says the only way we're getting to the front of the train is to ski. The skiing is yet another piece of gameplay that's almost fun, but is let down by one key problem. Sometimes when you hit an object, the characters won't get back up. You're stuck like this and have to start over, which is frustrating because the skiing outstays its welcome and feels like a long slog to get through. And I had to do it 3 times because the first 2 attempts were destroyed when the game shit the bed. Now that we're at the front of the train, we gotta help these 2 guys to repair it. This includes a rhythm dancing section, and I can't quite put my finger on why this does something for me. It's not well made, it frankly sounds horrible.
up, big killer!
And the combination of memorizing 4 button presses is not particularly engaging gameplay, yet for some reason, this bit works for me. It's my type of 2000s goofy We fight some more puppets, push some boxes. It's all pretty boring stuff until the boss battle against Scrooge. The Scrooge battle doesn't reinvent anything gameplay-wise, as we wait for this attack to leave his heart open to hit with a snowball, but it is still at least more interesting than the majority of the game. If I was a kid in this situation, I'd probably be horrified, but this guy just seems happy to be here. Let's do a little movie versus game scene comparison. Here's a couple seconds of the hot chocolate scene in the movie. Now let's check out how the game handles it. Yeah, not quite the same energy. Generally, I'd never skip cutscenes, but since these ones are just lazily pulled chunks from the movie, I broke my rule. So I have no idea how we got from stepping off the train to now being in a carriage plummeting downhill, but here we are. We can control if the cart is tilting left or right as it's locked on the tracks, and this is just really boring. I'm sorry, but this whole game is just unbelievably boring. It manages to make a runaway train boring as Next, we're flying through a pneumatic tube. Sounds fun, right? But somehow they managed to make this insanely boring too. There's these colored gates and the kids will shout whatever color we want next. And then we just gotta wait for that colored gate to appear and rotate to hit its button thing. We do this for a couple minutes before entering round 2 of 6. There are 6 rounds of this and they are identical. They don't look any different. They don't get any faster or more challenging. It's just 6 rounds, one after the other with no noticeable differences. There's a few puzzle levels of conveyor belts on the present production line. We pull these levers to change directions of belts and turn things on or off. The idea of these puzzles has some potential to be fun, but the way they work is you just step onto the belt, and then whenever the next lever appears, you just step off and pull it before stepping back on the belt and repeat until it's over. There's no actual solving. This is also when I chose to go cook some spaghetti carbonara for dinner, and I left the game running to see what my guy going around in circles for an hour would look like sped up. So, yep, there's that.
And I'm getting quite near the end now of this analysis.
We climb up this pile of presents doing platforming that doesn't seem to understand that level design like this is only fun if the character is fun to control, otherwise it's just tedious as And finally, the game finds one more way to make something typically fun ridiculously boring. Flying.
This is amazing.
Is it? Is it amazing, or is it perhaps the most restrictive, low-to-the-ground, slow, sorriest excuse for a flying section? No, you're right. It's absolutely f***ing amazing.
The presents. I have to be more careful. This is harder than it looks. Oops. This is harder than it looks.
I couldn't take it. I stood up. I go, shut the f*** up!
Hooray, we did it. We saved the Polar Express. Look, I skipped all the scenes from the movie, so I don't really know what we did. There's also a bonus content section featuring 2 extra game modes. It's your turn to drive the Polar Express. Well, this is exciting. Never mind, you need an iToy to do it, and that's the same for the other extra mode. I don't have an iToy, so f*** it.
I'm done! You hear me?